For the last couple months, I've been working on an AI bot to help me figure out the value of sports cards in the high-end market. And as you know, if you're a subscriber here, there are two markets. There's the everything else market, and then there's the high-end market. The problem is that I actually ran into a problem with the AI bot. I know it doesn't work. And so if you want to find out what happened, stay tuned. Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Doc, and if you're new here, this is all about sports cards, sports, and life. And this is where we make sense of things. So if you want to know kind of what's going on in the hobby and like whether people are losing their minds or not, you want to be here. Anyway, my point in this video is that I have a Substack called High End Cards, and in order to make that Substack work, I need an AI bot to tell me what high-end cards are worth, because the problem is that we don't have in the sports card hobby, we don't have a real exchange, basically a marketplace where you can buy and sell cards at the real value of the cards. What we have in the market is eBay or Facebook Marketplace or card shows where people have to haggle on their own. So it's sort of like a flea market or a bazaar. It's not actually a real marketplace. Now, auctions get closer to what would be considered a real marketplace because at that point you have multiple people at the same time bidding on cards. And so you would think, presumably, that the cards would sell for what they're worth. The problem is that with the new era of the 21st century, you have people from Wall Street, like Kevin O'Leary, the Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank, who overpay for cards because they want to manipulate the market. And that's where this AI bot needs to come in, is actually tell us what is the real value of the card. Now, in order to do this, so I want to explain how the AI bot works, and then I'm going to get into what the problem is, or the problem that I ran into. So in order for the AI bot to work, one, we have to identify the card. Okay, so that's the easy part. 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle, 1955 Sandy Koufax, 1955 Roberto Clemente, let's say the 1953 Mickey Mantle, the 1954, Willie Mays. Like there's a whole bunch, or 1951 Bowman Willie Mays. Like there's a whole bunch of cards that we can look at. The problem is that, okay, when you get the card, now how do you figure out value? And so there has to be metrics that we use. And so here are the original metrics that I was using. And then I'm going to explain the problem, all right, on the back end. So the first metric is obviously the card. The second is the pop count. So if obviously it's graded at this point. So all the cards are graded. So we're looking at the top grade. So in 50s and 60 cards, that means PSA 10s. For earlier cards, that means lower grade. Like the best grade known for a T206 Honus Wagner is a PSA 8. That's the highest grade known. And so obviously there's no PSA 10 available. Therefore, PSA 8 is the top card. And so what is that card actually worth? All right, so pop count matters, grade matters, and then something called the demand number, which I created, which is kind of like, well, how much does the hobby actually want that player? And the best way to explain hobby demand is on a 1 to 10 scale, 10 being the most demand and 1 being the least demand. And so any player that's above a 5, the card value would go up by a certain percentage every single year because the demand, appreciates the value. And then 5 would be flat, no appreciation whatsoever. And then 4 and below, actually cards would go down in value. All right, so that makes sense. So like a Shohei Ohtani is a 10, a Mickey Mantle is a 10, and maybe a Sandy Koufax is like a 9. Same thing with Roberto Clemente. Maybe they're a 9. Babe Ruth would be a 10. So like that's how you would figure that out. And so based on that, you have to figure out the percentage of appreciation per year. And so I have a formula with the AI bot to do that. So I have all of these things done. But here's where the problem came in. All right, so here's the problem. Cards don't follow the same trajectory. And I did this in the last video. Like, what is the 1955 Sandy Koufax PSA 10 worth? Or what should it be worth if it followed the same trajectory as the Mantle 52? Now, the Mantle is, 10 demand. It's the hottest card in the hobby, and it's worth the most money. Okay, so that's the gold standard. And if you're subscribed to the newsletter, then you know that's called the anchor card. Absolutely, nobody argues that's the most valuable, most important card in the hobby. All right, but what happens if the other cards don't follow the same trajectory? Like, if the Mantle card is the gold standard and every card should follow the same trajectory, then the 1955 Sandy Koufax rookie should be worth $1.5 million. The problem is it's not. And so when I started to look at all the other prices, I'm like, because I have a list of cards that are high end, and I'm like, well, what are they worth? And I started to see the values. I'm like, but these cards aren't selling anywhere close to what these values are. Like the most you could get for a PSA 10 Sandy Koufax is around $500,000. That's $1 million off from what the AI bot is saying. So I ran into a problem. Now I have to go back to the drawing board because this isn't working. And so here's how I figured out like what I'm going to do now. So I have to add another column. So we have pop count, we have the card, we have the demand number, we have all of these things. We also know the trajectory of, what it was worth back in the 90s, what it's worth today. So we can be able to figure out percentages per year of appreciation. And so, depending on the demand number, you're going to have like maximum appreciation or not so maximum appreciation. But I need another category. And so this is what I decided to do. And I'm testing this. So it's not ready yet, but I'm testing this. So the last category that we need to add, and that's what I'm doing, and I'm testing it out. It's not ready yet, so it's just a test. But we have to add what's called a tier system. So Mickey Mantle would be in tier 1. That's the biggest cards, the highest demand, absolutely. And so that way I can actually figure out okay, so if you have a trajectory, and just for, argument's sake, the Mickey Mantle card appreciated 18.8% per year from 1990 to 2023. That's already documented. So because of that, that's a high demand card, top tier, so 10 demand, most popular player, the GOAT, the most popular card in the hobby. And so that would be tier 1. And so any card that goes into tier 1 should see the same hockey stick appreciation, right? I mean, that's what we should see. So if a card was worth $5,000 in 1990, it should be worth $1.5 million today. And so some cards will actually follow that hockey stick movement. And I've done a video on the hockey stick, and so if you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. I'll actually link it at the end of this video for you. But that's the point, is that hockey stick is tier 1 plus all of the other demand. So demand 10, top card, GOAT, a whole thing. So all of those top cards should do hockey sticks. Okay. Then we need a tier 2, which would be the Sandy Koufax rookie, the Roberto Clemente rookie, and all of these other rookie cards that don't do the hockey stick. They appreciate, but just not at that level, right? They don't go straight to the moon. They kind of they have a much more steady appreciation line, and that would be tier 2. Tier 3 is actually going to be flat. And that's what we have to figure out is, well, which cards are in tier 2 and which cards are in tier 3? Because that's what you need to know. And then tier 4 actually goes down in value. And those are the cards you want to avoid, or those are the cards you want to sell right now. So if you want to know more about this tier strategy or this tier column, again, the new metric, hit the subscribe button on the Substack. I'll put the link in the description below. Again, I want to thank everybody that's subscribed to the Substack. We've had tremendous growth. It's only been around for a couple weeks, and I've already got like near 50 subscribers. So I want to thank everybody that's done it. But I'm excited about this project and this venture because once it's up and running, we can literally input any card into it and know what it should be worth today. Now, I don't know about predicting the future yet. Still have to figure out how that's going to happen, but I can figure out what the card is actually worth today. And then what we'll do is we'll put out like quarterly reports. It's kind of like a Beckett guide. We'll put out quarterly reports on the high-end cards so you know what these cards are worth throughout the year. And that way we can really figure out like, okay, are these cards overvalued? Are they not? And kind of like what's going on. Anyway, want to thank you all for joining me. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, hit it right now. This is Doc saying, I'll see you in the next